Good morning, everyone. I'm Camille Pating, and on behalf of the BCSF, I'm pleased to welcome all of you to our Sunday service for August 29, 2021. Next, we will have our group reading, which is the Three Treasures number 1 in page 8 of the Purple Service Book, and the text will be projected onto your screens. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be free from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. And next, we will have Sutra chanting, led by Reverend Keisuke Lee-Miyaki, chanting Juseige.
不慮一切仏、具足修徳法、元年心量満、得意三愛を、如仏無下知、通達未不詳、願学営利、投資最小尊、志願若国家、大仙王感動、国書天人、東地妙見。ナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブナマナブがんにしくどく妙のせいさいどんもないしんおじょうあんらこナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。
Thank you, Sensei. And now, for today's Dharma talk, I'm pleased to introduce once again Reverend Keisuke Lee-Miyaki.
ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Keisuke Lee-Miyaki. Before I begin the Dharma talk today, I would like to start by introducing myself. I'm sure some of you already knew a long time about me, but in any case, I'd like to do. I graduated from Bangkok University in 2008 and worked at Honganji for 4 years, then immigrated to the United States in 2012. Currently, I am working as a chaplain at San Francisco General Hospital and University of California, San Francisco Medical Center, while I'm working as an assistant minister at the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. A chaplain is a unique position in the medical field, honestly, very unique, as a religious, spiritual, emotional supporter for all people working, staying, and visiting outside a religious institution such as a hospital, military, prison, or school. Through deep listening to people's feelings and grief, sometimes joy, counseling with therapeutic technique, and providing ritual, chaplain provide emotional and spiritual care and support. So they would be encouraged to be or live as they are, regardless their situation and conditions, and the group community can be functional in its own way. That's the goal of a chaplaincy care. For example, you can think about medical staff working in a hospital. Some of you probably nurse or doctor or other hospital staff. If there is something distress in their family, which occupies their mind, stuck in their head, it is tough to keep focusing and provide professional medical care to the patient while holding on to those bewildering emotions. In the medical field, it is now looking great to be emotional. In addition, they often conduct a plan of care that would be conflicted with their morals or beliefs, such as caring for patients with complicated personalities, comfort care, abortion, and graphic case involved in an abusive relationship, violence, and other criminal and crimes. At such time, as long as they need, the chaplain will swiftly step into the situation, listen to the person's voices and complaints and worrisome, and share their pain and distress to encourage coping with it. And if they overcome, that's wonderful. Depending on the person's religious or cultural background, a prayer or recitation may be added to the session, and meditation, music, or visual arts, and a small conversation may be appropriate to offer in order to meet the person's emotional, spiritual needs. No one should suffer alone. It is my motto as a chaplain. I also provide emotional support to patients' family and friends as well. It will sometimes be a challenging but meaningful role to balance their wishes and the patient's spiritual needs, like a bridging. I hope this has given you some idea of who I am and what a chaplain is. So anyway, so I'm living in now San Francisco, but now kind of traveling in a cabin, so you can see the background cabin lodge, and staying at the friend's cabin. And I think it's a Dinky Creek in a Yosemite National Park. Travel journey is an interesting thing to do in our life. Don't you think so? And sometimes you may experience and encounter a life turning point. What do you think of when you hear the word travel, journey, or trip? In the Corona era, you may scream to me like, what's it talking about? Travel? No way. Or some of you may remember the sweet, sweet, sweetest honeymoon several decades ago, or a fun trip you took with your family or close friends. Others may recall a scene from a movie or a novel and think of it as a virtual trip. What is the most memorable trip for you? I will give you a couple seconds. Let's take a moment to reflect on this in your heart. Okay, so starting myself. Okay, my life changed. My life-changing trip was my visit to San Francisco in 2012, which was supposed to be just a 3-month vacation. But now I have been in the United States for 10 years, 10 years, amazing, wow. So now I'm living a life I had never seen in my past. I could say that the experiences I have had and the people I have met are my goen. Goen is the Buddhist term, but the kind of the treasure or the gems of a bodhisattva. Now I entrust that Amida Buddha was calling me anytime, anywhere to let me walk in a direction, even when or where I was completely unaware of it. The realization and awareness let me be freed from my shell, hard shell, fragile shell, though, and live with my own vulnerability. If you live on a Buddhist path, you may need to keep walking and be resilient. That's important, be resilient. There is a big difference between following Amida's call and path, and just pausing and gazing at the Buddhist path that has been beautifully paved in front of your view toward far away without taking any step forward. Sometimes a journey has a power to change your life. The Buddha's first journey was going out to the world outside the palace of Kapilavastu. Gautama Siddhartha, who had lived a blessed life as a prince, had never seen the old, the sick, or the dead before. So it must have been quite a shocking moment for him to realize that he would eventually become one of them. In the 12th and 13th century in Japan, Reverend Shinran's life had many turmoils. I believe that the most important turning point in his life was when he was exiled to Echigo as a criminal. Before losing his priesthood, he met Reverend Honen's teaching, which saved and embraced the most vulnerable population in outcast back then. The path supported him, especially when he was failed and struggled to be a good monk, to keep an ascetic practice, to achieve the nirvana at Mount Hiei. When the government condemned almost all monks following the Reverend Honen's leadership, Reverend Shinran must have felt the life need to spend his life proving that Reverend Honen's teaching were surely one of the paths of Buddhism, an excellent one. He continued the works until his death. Even in a country, no one knows what is pure Buddhism is. The path supported by Dharma and Sangha, one of the paths. On the other hand, the path forced to walk without any joy or allies would look very different. Shakyamuni Buddha could have kept his life as a king without asking the question he had staked his life. Shinran Shonin, Reverend Shinran, could have ended his life in Echigo as a depraved exile, but neither of them did so. Why? The journey forced to walk could be painful, and we may cry over our incapability to change the situation immediately. However, by making your view and insight flexible, you can transform the path to one that you take a step into numerous people's support and compassion, and also wisdom, including Buddha's one. It would be the ultimate goal of Buddhists to keep oneself being resilient. To understand this, a passage from a sutra may give you a clue. There is a sutra called the Commentary on the Contemplation Sutra. The passage says the following. One day, a traveler was attacked by bandits and beasts in the vast wilderness, and the traveler was running off. Then the traveler came upon two rivers. To the south in the river of fire with flame, and to the north is vast rivers of water with fierce tide. Between the two rivers, there was a narrow path of only 4 to 5 inches, so it's probably my hand width, yes. The narrow path seemed to be very dangerous, as it was constantly being burned by the raging flame from the river of fire and covered by muddy currents, like a Pacific Ocean or tsunami. However, bandits and beasts were still chasing the traveler from all directions. If turned back, the traveler would die. If stayed, the traveler would die. If went forward, the traveler might die. Okay, where should the person going? Yeah. But in such situation, the voice in that such a situation, so during that, thinking about where should I go, where should I go, the voice from the shore here, nearby, the traveler said, go without hesitation from the shore. And from the other shore, come, I'll protect you. So traveler without hesitation started to stagger along the narrow path. The bandit said in a friendly manner, it's dangerous. What you doing? Come back. I'm not going to take you alive. The bandit called a softly, gently, compassionate voice from behind of the traveler. But the traveler just glanced at them and continued on the way. At last, the traveler reached at the other side of the river and escaped from them. What do you think the parallel in this sutra represents? The river of fire is the anger and hatred that rises in our hearts. And the river of water is greed and unfulfilled desires that clinging to our hearts. The narrow path, glowing faintly, represents the entrustment that arises in the hearts of all Buddhists. You can be prepared to bring some tools to put out a fire or building the seawall to keep out the waves. In the meantime, probably, you might be killed and banished and become a food for animals. The preparation and strategies for your journey can help some of the accident or difficulties, but more often than not, they would be useless when you are on the brink of life or death. It is similar to having a carefully planning travel schedule, but when the flight was canceled, oh my God, whoa, where should I go? What should I do? Everything's going to nothing, and you have to start planning all over again. Also, in a parable of the sutra, we should not forget that I and you can be a bandit trying to deceive the traveler, innocent traveler, or a beast trying to slaughter the traveler at any time and any place. Please note that it is not a truth that I'm good because I study and learn Buddhism. The truth is that I have a potential to make a less harmful action to others because I am listening to and living with the teaching of Buddhism. Every day at the hospital, I met many patients, listen to their families' narratives and emotions, and medical team's concerns and struggles. The most challenging moment is when I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. What should I do? Imagine when you are waiting for test result. Think about when you are in the process of making a critical decision. Guess what? When you don't know how to support your loved one. Similar things could happen in your daily lives. It's really hard when you don't know either the direction to go or when you do not have the clear path. When you have a clear direction and path, you don't worry as much as you suffer, as you can keep going forward with determination and fueled energy. Before I came to the United States and after I arrived, I had many struggles with my identities, lineage, and communities, how to be fit in. However, the people I met in San Francisco and Buddhist churches and communities and recommended me to become a chaplain and support it. During the fellowship, I realized that, this is why I came here and reconciled to Buddhism. I'm glad not to run away from the Buddhism teaching and the Buddhist communities. I'm feeling right now. After realizing that, I was able to walk a narrow but steady path without staying too far away from it. What did you think? What do you think now? If you had a chance to reflect on your turning point in your life journey, I really appreciated your presence, and I'm so appreciated to have the opportunity to share the Dharma talk today. Please think about why Buddhism has been transmitted now and how they have reached you here, and who have passed along that wisdom at the names. Then, see you again. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namanda. 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 Namanda.
Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma message. And now, for the Gatha, we will have Live Amida's Love, composed and sung by B.J. Soriano.
For every thought that comes to be, and every word that's spoken, for every deed that's done to one, becomes the world we live in. So think pure and beautiful thoughts, and say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds with compassion and kindness. So think pure and beautiful thoughts, and say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds with compassion and kindness. Be kind and gentle to all that live. Stand beside those weaker than you. Let your heart overflow with love for your and others' enlightenment. So think pure and beautiful thoughts, and say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds with compassion and kindness. So think pure and beautiful thoughts, and say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds with compassion and kindness.
Namo Amida Butts, 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 Namo Amida Butts. And now, for the closing meditative reading, we will have Ryogemon number 1. Ryogemon number 2 on page 14 of the Purple Service book. Everyone please Kansho. I rely on Amida Buddha with my whole heart for the attainment of nirvana. I give up trust in my powerless self and abandon all practices that rely on the false ego. I know that because of Amida's boundless compassion, I am assured of rebirth the very moment I put my trust in Amida. I call the name Namo Amida Butsu in happiness and thanksgiving for the gift of the universal vow. I am grateful to Shinran Shonin and his followers for leading me to this profound teaching. I will try to live throughout my life according to the way of Nembutsu that they have taught. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. And now we would like to offer appreciations to the individuals who made the service possible today. Thank you to all of the service participants. Thank you to Reverend Keisuke, and also to Kevin Yoza for his technical help, as always, in making these YouTube services possible. This concludes this morning's Sangha service. Thank you so much for joining us. Please stay safe and connected. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.